Good evening. Welcome to Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion. Today, for episode 2, we're going to be talking about why juries acquit unpopular defendants and how media sensationalism can undermine justice. When a jury acquits someone the public hates, the response is often outrage. But juries are not asked to reflect public certainty. They are asked to measure proof, meaning they are doing their job. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that they should be found guilty. What jurors are actually instructed to do. Jurors are bound by a presumption of innocence, burden of proof, which is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So whether or not you like someone doesn't mean that they're guilty or not guilty. And you can't say, well, I don't like that person, so I'm going to convict them. Not true. Reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt is not something that you have to jump through a billion hoops for, right? It literally is something that is actually reasonable. So it's not something that you're making up in your mind. Well, I don't like this person, so I'm going to find them guilty. That's not how it works, right? There is a framework. There is proof required, not just bias or gut feeling or intuition, any of that. This is a pretty high bar to overcome. They are told explicitly not to decide based on emotion, media coverage, or popularity. Does everyone listen to that? Unfortunately, no, not everyone listens to that. I remember when I was going through law school and doing training, I had done one of my first jury trials. And I recall having the judge say to me, I wouldn't normally say this, but you're going through the legal process and learning things. So I want to let you know that one of the bailiffs overheard the foreman of the jury. And I noticed that she just kept staring at me for some reason and shaking her head. I couldn't figure out why. But her boyfriend was due to appear before the judge the following day. And so she was chosen as foreperson of the jury. And she was talking to them about how the state oftentimes brings the man down. And she had all sorts of examples and was giving them legal information about her boyfriend's case and just going on and on and on and on about it. And that's when I learned that ultimately, when you're picking a foreperson for a jury, you want to make sure that you have read the foreperson correctly, because there can be people who are wanting revenge, similarly maybe to her situation. There are people who are wanting to get on a jury, maybe for a book deal or whatever it might be. So it's almost like the runaway jury kind of thing going on. But yeah, so I learned that very quickly, that person is going to be the person, especially if they're outspoken. They can definitely sway the quieter, more reserved types for sure. And why unpopular defendants sometimes benefit. Ironically, extreme public certainty can encourage prosecutorial overreach. It can harden defense arguments, and it can create juror resistance to perceived pressure, meaning they feel like everyone thinks this person is guilty. Again, like I did that podcast on Casey Anthony. A lot of people believe that she was going to immediately be convicted. She was not. Overcharging, rigid narratives, and tunnel vision often backfire. And let's talk about the role of media ethics. Being invited into someone's home through a screen or a voice is an honor and a responsibility. I have a broadcasting degree as well as a law degree. Both are big responsibilities. And ultimately, I take a lot of care in what I say during these podcasts. I'm not going to conjecture. I'm not going to accuse someone. I'm not going to make up false facts just to make them fun or interesting or, spice things up. No. I know that there were journalists in various aspects who have sensationalized a crime that really didn't need sensationalization, especially when you're talking about children or other scenarios. Someone being murdered is enough. We don't need to spice it up or anything like that. I clearly disagree with that wholeheartedly. So when commentary drifts into speculation framed as certainty, it does not strengthen prosecutions. It undermines them. And there was a lot of that going on during the Casey Anthony case. And I think some people, got really, really upset by that. And so then they get outraged. And the outrage can contaminate witness testimony. It can influence juror psychology and create appellate vulnerabilities. For instance, the Scott Peterson case, right? They seemed to gun for the death penalty and it ended up backfiring. Justice requires restraint. Everywhere narratives are shaped. Why this matters? Juries are not failing when they acquit unpopular defendants. They are responding to evidentiary gaps, which is their job. If we were standing trial, we would want them to do the same thing. Understanding that protects the integrity of the system, even when outcomes are uncomfortable. It's better to let one guilty man go free than to punish an innocent man. Justice is not a popularity contest, and certainty without proof is not justice at all. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and you'll come back and see us again soon. Bye-bye.